Alright everyone, we are back with Teddy's historic content list. We have the upcoming fight on Friday, July 11th, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, the trilogy. And we had news this week that was broke by Tyson Fury saying that he's going to come back for a third fight in 2026 versus Usyk. So with that being said, we thought it would be a good time to give Teddy's list of the greatest trilogies in boxing history.
All right. Well, my son is always thinking, and he's thinking for you guys. I hope you appreciate it. He's thinking for you guys. Coming up with these lists. And if you guys keep loving them, we'll keep coming up with them. But you got to keep loving them and showing the love. So far, so good. All right, I'll start with number 5, right? Anyone on this list is good. They are. But number 5, this is great for me, and it's not the 1700s, okay? Okay? Goes back a little bit, though, and I am attached to it because of Customato and everything else. But Floyd Patterson, Ingemar Johansson, heavyweight title fight. The first fight, Johansson pulls off a huge upset, knocking Patterson down 7 times. But in the rematch, Patterson becomes the first heavyweight champion to ever regain his title with an iconic, and I mean iconic, KO landing his vaunted leaping left hook. You don't see leaping left hooks too often. And he left Johansson laying out cold, flat on the canvas with his leg twitching. I mean, Google it. It's dramatic. It is graphic. It will catch your attention. You'll say, you know what? This Teddy comes up with a good list. You know what? I agree with him. That's got to be on a list. So they had 3 fights, but those are the first 2 that and then Patterson won the third one. It wasn't quite what the first 2 were as far as dramatics, but tremendous 3 fights. Tremendous because of the history and because of just the drama. I mean, the dynamics. I mean, dynamic knockout. I mean, you got a guy going down 7 times, losing his title in an upset, and then he comes back the second time and knocks the guy out with his foot twitching on the floor. Yeah, that's going to make my list, Rich. Yeah. Okay, number 4. Come on, Ted. Come on, buddy. We love this guy. We met him both in Saudi. We spent time with him. Couple of the greatest Mexican warriors of all, great fighters, period, but greatest part of that great Mexican history and tradition of great fighters, Antonio Marco Barrera and Eric Morales. Like I said, 2 Mexican warriors fighting for more than a title. They were fighting for the pride of their countries and the great tradition of their countries that I just touched on. I mean, it doesn't get better than having 2 great Mexican fighters going at it. No, it don't get better because of what I just said. It's not just because of the talent, the power, the skill levels, but it's because of the pride. They understand that tradition they gotta live up to. Otherwise, you gotta move somewhere. Can't live in Mexico no more. Gotta go somewhere. Yeah, I don't know what's next door. What's next door to Mexico, Rich?
Costa Rica, Honduras.
Wherever it is, that's where you gotta go if you don't freaking fight with pride in Mexico. Okay, that was number 4. I love it. I love these lists my son's making me do. Number 3, how can you go wrong with any of these? You can't. I dare people to argue with me over this. Dare you! Come on, Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti. First of all, that first one was one of the greatest fights. This is Teddy Atlas saying it. Yeah, I'm including the 1700s for you wise guy out there. Yeah, this is Teddy Atlas saying that modern day fight was one of the greatest fights of all time, fits in with any era, even the 1700s or 1800s or whatever the era. What a fight. And all 3 of them were great, but nothing topped the first one. But all 3 of them were great. Like I said, just that first one alone to stand with any fight in the history of the sport, that's saying something. That's saying a lot. I mean, that was, oof, that was,
And
that
I'm
was,
lucky enough to say I was at that first one live in Atlantic City at the Boardwalk Convention Center.
yeah, you had a lot of great fights, bud. Number 2, you gotta love middleweights. You love middleweights, don't you? I love middleweights. One of the most, I say it again, I love middleweights. One of the greatest divisions because you got a mix of power and expertise and skill and everything. Not just power like you have in heavyweights, although you have skills there too, so I don't mean to diminish them in any way. But the middleweight weight class, is a favorite amongst fans for a reason. And you've had some great fighters, and you've had some great fights. And this trilogy, wow. Tony Zell, Rocky Graziano, middleweight title, all were knockouts. Every one of the fights was a knockout. And how about this? In the first 2 fights, both ended in 6th round knockouts for different guys, but both ended in 6th round knockouts. And I tell you something else. How can it not be on the list, bud? When it inspired a movie. Someone Up There Likes Me. Paul Newman, a young, handsome superstar, becoming of a superstar actor. Paul Newman, his salad dressings are very good. Have you ever had his salad dressing? They're very good. They're Rich, you have? Yeah, they are. They're tremendous. Paul Newman starred in the movie playing Rocky Graziano. Someone Up There Likes Me, about his story. And he had quite a story. And the reason for it was he fights for the middleweight title against the great man of steel, Tony Zell, one of the great body punchers of all time in the middleweight class. And Zell knocks him out in the first fight at Madison Square Garden. Then they fight the second time in Chicago, and Graziano knocks out Zell in the 6th round. And like I said, by winning the middleweight title in the way he won it, coming back after being knocked out the first try, all of that with his story coming from reform school, a bad kid, the whole thing in trouble. Boxing saves a lot of lives, and it saved Graziano's life too. And it made him a middleweight champ. And like I said, they made a movie about it. Tremendous. They can only be number 1. They can only be number 1. For everybody, only number 1. But this number 1 for me has to be number 1 universally. I think my son would agree, but it has to be Ali Frazier. Ali Frazier. It don't get better than that. When you start talking trilogies, you start with Ali Frazier. First of all, the first fight, think about it. 2 undefeated heavyweight champs. One of them had been exiled for 3.5 years, Ali, because of his refusal to go into the army, right? He'd been exiled for 3. He comes back, he gets 2 fights against tough guys, Oscar Bonavena and Jerry Quarry. 2 tune-up fights, real quick tune-up fights. These were great fighters he fought. That's what made Ali so great. He comes back after 3.5 years off, and he takes tune-up fights against Jerry Quarry and Bonavena. You got to be kidding me. These guys are hell of a fighters and dangerous as hell. And he beats them. He stops both of them. And then he fights Frazier. Frazier now is the world champion because of Ali, of course, having the title taken away from him, being exiled. And they're both undefeated, like I said already. And it's the fight of the century. That's what they call it. And nobody ever disputed it. It was the fight of the century at Madison Square Garden with Frank Sinatra being hired by Life magazine to take pictures. You imagine? Wow. Fight of the century, and an incredible fight. And Frazier took a lot of punishment. Everyone thinks about, Frazier won, he dropped him in the 15th round, and it was 15 rounds. 15 rounds, those fights. They were 15 rounds. and he drops him in the 15. So everybody thinks about Frazier, just that he won the fight. No, this was a brutal fight. Frazier took a lot of punishment. I don't think he was ever the same fighter from that fight. I don't think he was ever the same fighter from that fight. Anyway, then they go on and they fight 2 more times. And what does it end with? One of the greatest fights of all time, period. The throw in Manila. Wow. Where they did literally, you've heard me talk about it before, but they literally left pieces of themselves in that ring. They really did. And where actually Ali said to Sports Illustrated, I never felt so close to death. It was hot, it was humid, it was everything. And with this guy coming at you, throwing left hook after left hook to the body, to the head. Just a left hook machine that just kept coming. And talk about pride. These 2 men, it wasn't about purses. With them, it was about pride. It really was. I mean, it really did get deep with these 2 guys. It did. It did. I mean, Frazier felt really hurt the way that Ali demeaned him and the names he would call him and the things he would say about him. And that really, Frazier was a very proud man, as Ali was, and it really impacted Frazier. And he fought to hurt. He didn't hide it. He said, I was trying to hurt this man. And there was no hiding it. Watching the fight, you couldn't hide it. You saw for yourself the way they went at it. And like I said, Frazier said, Ali said, I'm sorry, to Sports Illustrated. At the end of the 10th round, I never felt so close to death. I thought I was going to die. And then he went 4 more rounds because Eddie Fudge stopped it in the corner after the 14th round. Wow. That for me, that is the list. And I love these lists because it invokes conversation. That's what my son wants. It invokes conversation from you, the fans, to talk about who's your list. I'll just real quick mention a couple others real quick that I have to mention that didn't make the top 5. They would have made a top 10, but they didn't make a top 5. And it's tough. It's tough to chop some of them off. Barney Ross and Jimmy McLaren for the welterweight titles between 2 of the greatest ever. First 2 fights ended in split decisions. They were great fighters. Emil Griffith and Benny Kid Paret. The last fight ended tragically with Paret being knocked out and never regaining consciousness. Talk about bad blood. Yeah, there was. Just like with Ali and Frazier, there was. Because Paret called Griffith names, talked about his sexuality, called him some names, and it really obviously it impacted Griffith, and in that fight, in that last fight, as I said, it ended tragically. Ali Norton, Ali makes the list again. Ali Norton, don't forget about how great Norton was. He wins the first fight, he breaks Ali's jaw, and then the other 2 fights were close and actually controversial. A lot of people thought that Norton won those other fights. And then finally, I throw one in there. Riddick Bowe and Holyfield. They were pretty damn good. I mean, that first fight, the last one not as much, but that first fight with Bowe and Holyfield, wow. The way Holyfield came back, he got hurt by that big man who proved himself in that fight. People didn't know he had the heart and everything else. They knew he had the talent. They knew he had the size. But they didn't know if Bowe had the heart and appetite for it against a warrior like Holyfield, and he did. And Holyfield got hurt with those uppercuts and then came back as he was known to do. But the way he came back, and then, of course, you had the fan man. You throw in a fan man in there in the second fight. You talk about something that's a little different. That was a little different. That possibly changed the outcome of that fight. So that's my list. Those 5 I'll stand those 5, Bud, any day. I'll see your 5, and I'll raise your 5.
I really enjoy these segments, and it's hard for me to try to raise this list. I go through it. I mean, for me, my favorite ones that stand out, you just nailed them all. Ward and Gatti, for sure. For me, more recent ones, that's number 1. 2 of my favorite guys and fighters growing up as a kid, Barrera Morales, unbelievable. And you just nailed it. The other one for me was Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield, all 3 of them. The third one, obviously, was the knockout by Bowe, but more so the first 2. So I'll throw out just a few more that came to mind for me. We talked about Morales, but Eric Morales and Manny Pacquiao. They had 3 good ones. Morales won the first one. Pacquiao took the last 2. Talking about Pacquiao, this is cheating a little bit here, but it wasn't 3 fights. It was 4. But if it would have ended at 3, Pacquiao versus Juan Manuel Marquez, unbelievable fights.
No doubt.
And then most recently, I'll leave it with this one. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. The first one, we know Fury gets up when everybody thought he wouldn't.
Wow. I forgot
the second
about
one,
that.
Fury had his way. And then the third one, they both hit the ground back and forth. Obviously, all 3, or one of them was a draw, and the rest go to Fury. So
No, that's a great one, Bud. I forgot about that. That's a great one because there was drama, there was theater. There was coming off the floor. I mean, to come off the floor in that first one, it wound up being a draw. But for Fury to come, that's what made his career. That's what made his life. To come off the floor, I mean, he looked like he was shot with an M16. I mean, he was bang. He gets hit with that right hand. That one of the great right hands in heavyweight history, probably. I mean, he's probably up there with that kind of power. Wilder with one punch, he drops him. You figure it's over. And he gets up and then wins the next round and makes it a draw. And then, of course, that shootout in the third fight, wow. He walked through him in the second fight, as you said. That was a little crazy where he set the outfit warm out a little bit. We'll leave that one out of it. But, where Wilder talked about that a little bit. But whatever it was, Fury showed in the second one that he could do more than box. He surprised him. He went after him. He pressed him. And he used his weight and his size that way instead of on the outside, like a giant bear, dancing around. And then the third one, though, you're so right, bud. That belongs on that list. That third shootout. What a shootout. They were both on the floor. Oh, wow. Yeah, that was the heart that was shown in that. Well, in all of them. But the first one by Fury to get up, and then the third one, the heart shown by Wilder, by Fury too, but by Wilder, the punishment he took, I don't think he was ever the same. We're talking about fighters that left parts of themselves in the ring, but see, I'm so glad we do this. See, it opens up we weren't planning on talking about this stuff, but it opens up and takes you down those roads where it opens up conversation in a way that we're talking about earlier. We were talking about in our last show how guys leave parts of themselves in the ring. I don't think that Wilder was ever the same. I don't know if Fury was ever the same.
I think we could say that for pretty much everybody on these list of fights we're naming, right? I mean, Riddick Bowe, after those Holyfield fights, we could go down that list of guys that left a piece of themselves inside that ring for sure. I couldn't agree more with that. So, great list. Really enjoyed it. Ali Frazier has to be number 1. But we want to hear from the viewers. What do you guys think? Who we missing? Your favorite trilogies? And we will see on Friday, July 11th, if the girls, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, could live up to some of these fights with their trilogy. So as always, thank you for joining. Please like, comment, subscribe. We'll be back again next week with more of Teddy's historic content list.